I'm about to meet with Paul Golding, and the reason I am is because he's in court tomorrow. He's in court on a terrorism charge. He faces prison. He could be locked up and forever labelled a terrorist for something as simple as refusing to give the police his passcodes for his computers and his phones. And I believe this is a very important case for patriots across the country. So I'm going to cover it, sit down with Paul, discuss with him further about what's happening. Start off, how are you feeling about tomorrow?
I'm feeling great. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm feeling great. I'm not nervous or anxious. This is just one of those things. I've been to prison twice before. You've been to prison many times. And we've just got to put up with this kind of stuff for our children, for the cause. Because we're in it for the right reasons. And they're trying to knock us out of the game. They're trying to grind us down. They're trying to get us to surrender. And it's not going to happen.
Generally not worried?
No, not worried at all, no. Last time I went to prison, within 3 days I was attacked by a bearded Islamist gang. They burst in my cell, launched a sneak attack on me, and I sustained injuries.
I remember seeing it in the paper, I read it in the paper.
Yeah, it was all over the papers. I didn't have my nose broke, like the paper said, but I did sustain injuries. I walked out of my cell covered in blood because they punched me on the nose, and I was covered in blood. And I walked out, and the Kent police said, no further action. So when I know that going to prison I'm going to be fair game and I'm going to get targeted, and it will be a badge of honour for a lot of these Islamist prison gangs to be able to inflict harm on me. It'll be a real honour for them. They'll be heroes within their community.
That's why I say are you not concerned? Generally, because I know. The morning I was going to jail, I was shitting myself. I generally was shitting myself, and I generally was because of my kids, and because I think what you must know. You could walk in there and not walk out.
Absolutely.
To 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I've told my security and the people who are coming with me to court tomorrow, once I go in that courtroom, I might not be coming out because there's a possibility you might not see me again. That is the nature of the struggle that we have taken up, and that's why the police do it. That's why the state establishment put you in those positions. You've been attacked in prison before by an Islamist gang.
When you get to jail, do they ask you if you want protection?
No.
They don't ask her?
The first time I was put in prison was in Pentonville, but that was only for 4 weeks. Yeah. And as soon as I got there, and I was quite worried because I knew Pentonville's reputation. I thought, this is going to be bad. I'm going to be put in a cell with someone, black gang member or Islamist gang member. They're just going to chuck me in the middle of it. Yeah, they're going to chuck me right in the middle of it, and I'm going to be fighting every day. And they didn't. They put me on a detox wing, which was very quiet. But the downside to that was they put me in basically solitary confinement. So I was in my cell, literally 24 hours a day.
See, the problem I've had, each time I go to jail, they say you need to go on the numbers, which I've never done, which is why, whatever's gone over the years, I've watched each time you've gone to jail. I thought I respect the fact, because an easy way out would be to accept protection. Yeah. If you accept protection so people understand, you go where paedophiles go.
Yeah, on the VPU. Yeah.
On the VPU, you're a vulnerable prisoner.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I get there, I think I'd rather be beaten up every day or hurt, which obviously you've done this yourself.
Well, when I went to Elmley Prison, which is in North Kent, in 2018, they just flung me out into the general prison population. But where it was in Kent, I thought I might be okay. But when I actually went onto the wing and I saw the population, the ethnic composition of the people who are in there, I was thinking this is probably going to be a struggle. Within 3 days, I was attacked by a Muslim gang in my cell, and the police they gave the gang no further action, even though I sustained injuries, even though it's caught on CCTV, just no further action. And then once that happened, they tried to put me onto a different wing of that block, and as soon as I was in there, about 6 or 7 of the English prisoners came up to me, respect what you do, we're right behind you, no one will touch you on this wing. I thought, great, this sounds a lot more hospitable. And then about an hour later, I got warned by one of the insiders, one of the prisoners who help other prisoners and they get more privileges. And one of them came to me and said, listen, I've just come from upstairs and there's 5 or 6 Muslim prisoners serving life sentences.
And they're going to kill you.
And they're going for you. They're already plotting up there. And luckily, I was with one of the screws, prison officers, at that time. So he said, right, let me go and deal with this, Mr. Golding. Let me put you back in your cell. And he locked the cell during association. And he locked the cell, and I was in there for the next 3 hours. And everyone was locked down on the wing. And then after that, I was taken down the block.
See, the thing that gets me is that they're fully aware. I've landed at jails, Peterborough. I said, you know what's going to happen, I know what's going to happen. Walked you out. So they shouldn't even put you in that situation. You should have landed, which is, my last prison sentence, they done it right in Belmarsh Prison. Their job is as a duty of care. They have a duty of care over you tomorrow when you land in prison.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be in a position where 3 Muslims are running in your cell, because they would not put a Muslim on a jail with white supremacists or extremist groups.
No, of course not.
And they're putting you in a vulnerable situation with Muslim
In
prisoners.
my opinion, if you would have been with me at the time, and I warned the supervising officer of the entire block, I said, see those Muslims that are on my wing?
They're gonna do it.
I was on the induction wing as well for the first
yeah.
week, so it's very quiet.
Yeah, because it's all new people, so
All
they haven't
new
found their
people.
feet yet.
So there's like 8 prisoners, and they put 2 bearded Muslims on the same wing as me.
Yeah.
And all I'm seeing all the time is them looking at my cell. They're staring me out. All this. I said to the supervising officer, they're plotting and planning something. Boom! Next day, they're in my cell. I warned the authorities that something was going to happen, and it did. And it took me being attacked. And the reason I didn't fight back as well as I should have done is because when they came in the cell, they were holding something like that. And you know yourself, prisons are full of bladed objects.
The whole place.
Toothbrushes.
You're lucky.
filed in.
You're lucky to be honest.
Yeah.
No, because I said when I went into Bedford, the same situation, which is you can't wait for it to happen. I said, we're sitting in your cell and the door opens. Every time my door opens, I was out of the door straight away, because I thought I'm not getting locked in this cell with 4 or 5 men doing me, because you won't come out of it.
Well, that's exactly what happened. I was watching to my right. I was at my bed, and to my right, I was watching TV. And I heard the door on my left, to my left,
yeah,
bang,
you're lucky, man.
just bang. And I turned round. There's 2 Muslims there. One is holding something like that,
You're
and the
lucky.
other one, as I'm just getting up off the bed, the other one's just boom, straight on the nose. And going from just a relaxed state of watching TV to being involved in extreme violence
So I didn't
is
relax.
really disconcerting.
Yeah, you can't relax. You shouldn't relax, man. Sitting on your bed watching TV, you need to be ready every second.
I know, yeah.
Every second. But so this is what you face. You're going to face this,
Yeah.
Let's get to why you face this. So you could be going to jail tomorrow. For what? What's your crime? What have you done?
Schedule 7 of the Terrorism Act 2000 basically gives the police extra powers in ports of entry in the United Kingdom, ferry ports, airports, etc. And as you know, I went to Moscow in Russia at the invite, the second largest party in Russia. They invited me out there to give a speech in the Russian parliament, which I did. Then the second occasion they took me to their headquarters. I was on the Russian equivalent of Newsnight, Russia 24. It was one of their biggest channels. I think the interview was seen by 50 million Russians. And it's just purely political activities. I went to the Duma, their parliament, on both occasions, and some of the evidence on my trial tomorrow is going to be, here's what he did in Russia. Nothing to do with criminality, nothing to do with terrorism or anything relating to it. And it's funny, when I came back from Moscow to Heathrow, we was completely blissfully unaware that this legislation even existed, or that anything of its kind.
Did you see what happened with Lauren Southern? You remember that? So Lauren Southern landed as a journalist into the UK, a Canadian journalist. She was held under Section 7 of the Terrorism Act.
Yeah.
Held, it's an abuse of power, an abuse of law. But there was actually a recording from the police officer saying, we know she's nothing to do with terrorism.
Yeah.
Yet they held her under the Terrorism Act.
Yeah.
So you're in court under Terrorism Act. You land at the UK airport.
Yeah.
Just you?
No, me and 2 others. There was Ashley Simon, our chief of staff, and Timothy Burton, who's our chairman, Britain First. We literally just came off the plane. We're walking through the terminal, and at least 15 SO-15 counter-terrorism command officers just appear from nowhere. And they quickly separated us, marched us off in different directions. But I'm obviously standing my ground. I say, listen, I'm not going anywhere with you unless you arrest me. And they're kind of just pushing me and pulling me and directing me. And in the end, they said, look, we're going to have to arrest you if you don't play ball, and we've got the powers to. I said, for what? For what? They said, come in the room, and this is part of what I'm saying tomorrow. I was tricked into that room. They got me into an interrogation room. They went through all my belongings. They took photos. They took all the cards, bank cards, people's business cards out of my wallet, photocopied them. They literally went through everything. And then they started questioning me. And considering this is anti-terrorism legislation, you would have thought, have you been involved in terrorism financing, anything at all like that? No. The questions were, why did you go to Russia? I spoke in the Russian parliament.
Do we have a ban on travelling to Russia?
No, there's no ban. There's no, and people do it. Thousands and thousands of people come back and forth every day. So I told them it was all the questions were nothing to do with criminality or terrorism. All the questions were political. Who did you meet? What's their names? What position do they hold? Etc. Etc.
What's the legalities? Am I right? You don't have a right to remain silent.
No. When you are detained under the Terrorism Act 2000, it's all turned upside down. So you don't have a right to stay silent. If you do stay silent, you're committing a criminal offence.
Criminal or terror?
The same criminal offence that I'm being done.
A terrorist offence.
A terrorist offence, yeah. That they class it. And the officers at the time, you can imagine SO15, they're very skilled at dealing with people, especially in those situations. Oh, Mr. Golding, you do realise you're going to be looking at 6 months in prison. It's actually 3 months the maximum, but they said on recording you're looking at 6 months and a terrorism conviction if you don't give us your PIN codes. I just stood firm. I just said, look,
why? Because there'll be people, and I've heard the counter argument. There'll be people saying, well, if you ain't got nothing to hide, why aren't you giving me your passcodes? That's what I've seen that people say. Well, we've got nothing to hide. Why don't you let them in your phone, let them in your computer? Why wouldn't you?
Well, it's simple. This law, Schedule 7, within the Terrorism Act 2000. While we're in the EU, and we're still subject to at the moment, the transition period, we're subject to the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. The European Court of Justice, the highest court in the land, has declared Schedule 7 to be illegal, to be unlawful. And because it infringes upon the right to privacy. Because they can literally go into an airport and say, look, we don't like the look of him, bang, give us all your electronic devices, PIN codes. If you don't cooperate with us, you're a terrorist. So another reason I didn't cooperate was because, as the leader of Britain First, on my hard drive and laptop and so on, I've got sensitive information. I was involved in a political party back in 2009 when their membership list was leaked to the public, and I remember the pain and suffering that caused to that political party and to hundreds of families who are members. So I've got a duty of care to make sure that our membership list, our email list, all of our confidential data, all of the contact details for all of our supporters is kept secure.
Which I remember the English Defence League list was leaked in the early days. I had teachers crying on the phone to me, school teacher, crying because he was going to lose his job. Yeah. So what you're saying is you need to protect people's livelihoods.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to protect.
And they should be free to support you without fear.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately, you're not in Britain. But why wouldn't you trust? Stupid question. This is, I can't believe I'm about to ask it. But why wouldn't you trust the people to not leak people if you give them access to your computer? Do you trust that your membership list wouldn't have ended up on the front page of The Guardian?
No, definitely not. And I believe this is the whole point of the exercise.
Well, it is.
Because it was a raiding operation. It was a fishing expedition. It was a win-win situation for them, because if I cooperated and gave them my PIN codes, they've got access to our membership list, our email list, the whole works. God knows what they could do with all that. And
it's sad to say, but we know that they target people.
Of course they do.
We know that if you've got people on there, if
they
find out who might have donated £50 to you, tick, tick, tick.
Exactly.
And people want to be able to support you without fear of that.
Yeah. So if I have to be labelled a terrorist and do 3 months in prison...
Is that why you're doing it? Because I'd say...
That's one of the main reasons, yeah. There's a principled reason, is that I'm not under suspicion of being a terrorist in any way, shape or form. So on principle, I'm going to tell them to take a run off the nearest bridge.
So say to people, someone watching this that hates you, hates your political beliefs, why should your court reaction tomorrow or sentence, whether you win or lose, why should it affect them? What effect could it have on them?
The main effect is that it will be the first time, I think, in British legal history where someone who is not so obviously not a terrorist or a criminal has been targeted with laws designed to combat terrorists. So what that will give them, it will create a precedent, because you're talking about, this is Westminster Magistrates Court, the highest magistrates court in the land, with the Chief Magistrate of England and Wales legal system. So she will create a precedent, a legal casework that can be referenced in other prosecutions, and it can be used to prosecute other people. So say anyone at all who's connected to you, anyone at all who's connected to me.
Terrorist. You're connected to a terrorist.
If you go on holiday to Lanzarote, you'll get targeted at the airport. And it's a win-win situation. If they get access to your phone, they can have a look around, they can, see if there's anything on they can use against you or anyone you're connected to. And if you refuse, you're prosecuted as a terrorist. So it's win-win for them. And this is what they're trying to establish the legal precedent in order to take this type of action against everyone and anyone who's a patriot.
Well, I'm concerned by it, because I know if this happens to you tomorrow, then it's certainly going to happen to me.
Yeah.
But wider than that, to any political dissident voice anywhere, you land at an airport, you better be ready to give up your phones, your passwords. And why should that be a worry? You've spoke about your reasoning. Your reasoning is to protect your members or your supporters or your people who support you. To anyone else who's part of a WhatsApp group or a men's WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Everyone has a friend who throws the beheading video in there from ISIS beheading someone.
Yeah.
That's actually a criminal offence.
Yeah.
You will actually be prosecuted for that. So if they have access and they want to find something on your 5 years of history on your mobile phone, of your WhatsApp groups or anything, they would be able to pin something to get a headline.
They will go through everything. They will go through the memory, the BIOS, get all the things that have been deleted.
Yeah.
And they will go through everything. And to be honest, to start with, they haven't got a right to do that. Anyway, we've got a right to privacy. People confuse the EU with the European Convention on Human Rights.
Do you think people care anymore? Like, say about your civil liberties. Tomorrow, I keep saying this actually isn't about Paul Golding tomorrow.
No,
it's not about Britain
no.
First. This is about civil liberties and the right to travel into free countries and democracies without having your privacy invaded for political gain or for intent based on...
You're right, because it's got profound implications for everyone. If I'm convicted tomorrow and sent to prison, or to be honest, scrub that, if I'm convicted, then the precedent is there. No one who is involved in patriotic activism in any way, shape or form is now able or is running the risk of going to an airport, even to go on holiday. You're running the risk.
If you're prosecuted tomorrow, I'm
Yeah.
never bringing a phone for an airport ever again.
Yeah, or a hard drive or a laptop.
You can't.
Because you're vulnerable. And this is what they're trying to create. They're putting in place the powers.
Previous sentences. Look. You must have researched this case. Each time I go to court, I think, well, let's see what happened to other people. Although that's going to be irrelevant. Yeah. Look, have you found any other cases that are relevant? Have you found any other jihadis, Muslims that have travelled through the airports, IRA, that have had this same legislation used against them?
Yes. So this same judge that's going to be overseeing the trial tomorrow, she's the Chief Magistrate of England and Wales. She's the highest magistrate in the whole country.
Is that a fluke, do you think?
I think it's just because it's such a controversial case, it's been kicked up to her.
Okay.
And last year, the director of CAGE is a Muslim advocacy group, and
an extremist group.
Labelled
not extremist by us, but by many politicians.
And they campaign on behalf of Islamist terrorists. So if you're an Islamist terrorist and you're put in a prevent programme, they will help you, even though you're mad as a hatter and up to your neck in terrorist activity. They will support you.
Am I right? They said that. Not the Beatles. Jihadi John was a great guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Jihadi John's a great guy.
If you're involved in international terrorism, you go to Guantanamo Bay and you're released, they will support you. They are there. CAGE, this organisation, CAGE.
Mohammed Akanji, the one that's prosecuting me, the lawyer that's been trying to harass me, he's a spokesman for them, I think.
Exactly. So you're talking about a gang of radical Islamist extremists who help other Islamic terrorists.
Okay.
Right? And they campaign specifically against Schedule 7, which is what I'm being prosecuted for.
And what's happened in the past with them?
Now, the director of CAGE went to a foreign country, I can't remember which one it was, Pakistan or some place like that. When he returned, he was grabbed by SO-15 at the airports. Schedule 7, detained.
Was it an Islamist country he went to?
I think so. I'd have to check, but I think he... But basically, he spends his time...
So he's probably out in Syria or Iraq or Afghanistan, meeting a terrorist.
Yeah. He talks to people, he talks to terrorists and Islamists full time, that's his job, and represents them, helps them, advocates for them, helps them with legal issues. He helps terrorists and extremists.
Okay.
He was pulled by SO-15 at the airport, and he was not cooperative at all. He actually said, I'm not even talking to you. So I only refused to give the PIN codes to my devices. Apart from that, you can see from the evidence that everyone will see tomorrow that my cooperation with them was very open and giving. I gave them names, I explained everything. I made the statement, I said, this is still outrageous, I'm a politician, you shouldn't be doing this to me. But I explained everything I did and give them names, give them phone numbers, give them the whole bloody lot. And I also said, and you'll see it on the audio recording tomorrow, or the transcript, I actually praised the work they do in combating terrorists, because although they're persecuting people like us,
they're doing a difficult job.
They do a difficult job. They sabotage terror plot after terror plot after terror plot. Without them, we'd already been in a civil war situation. I praised the work most of the time that they do, and this is all on recording. So I'm going in there. It could be the case.
So you're supportive of the work they do, supportive of them Complete opposite to Cage.
Complete opposite. But Cage is against him. Cage is against Prevent.
What happened? What's the director of Cage's name?
His name's Rabbani.
And what happened with him in court? Same judge?
Same judge.
Okay.
He was less cooperative than me.
Yep.
He was given a slap on the wrist. He was given a discharge and a fine.
Okay.
And he went free. And tomorrow we will see if I get sent to prison.
I just listened to you having a legal meeting. Do you know what? It just brought back so many memories. It must be frying your head. Whether anyone says it's not, I just know that legal stuff just like, get me out of it.
Yeah.
But I just sat and listened to you having a legal meeting with your lawyers where they were discussing what the prosecution have advised for sentencing.
Yes.
What was their advice to the judge?
This is only this morning. We found out that the prosecution's advice in the event of me being convicted of this is prison. And it shouldn't be suspended. You know,
they said that they don't want it to be suspended.
They don't want it to be suspended. They want me to go to prison for this. That's the prosecution, the CPS. They want me to go to prison. That's their advice to the judge.
And do you think, say it's like a game of chess, if you get found guilty tomorrow and you get charged with terrorism, do you think they're going to prescribe Britain First as a terrorist organisation? Do you think they'll use that?
Possibly.
Do you think they'll try and use that?
Possibly.
And because most people, they know that 90% of the British public only read the headline.
Yeah.
So most people are just going to read Paul Golding, arrested, terrorism charges, convicted.
Well, the BBC did it. When I actually announced to the press that I'd been charged under Schedule 7, which is, it's only a magistrate's offence. You know, you're not talking about a big Crown Court trial here, but it's the headline. The BBC said, Britain First leader Paul Golding charged for terror offence. Now, when you read the first paragraph, it said he refused to give his PIN codes. And if you went on to...
Most people don't know, they know that.
Of course, if you went on to The Sun, The Mirror, The Guardian, any of them, you will see, and probably 90 to 95% of people say, hold on a minute, terrorism. They got sucked in by the headline, they read it, and they thought, he just refused to give his PIN codes, good on him. Yeah,
which is why I think it's important. That's why I want to come tomorrow as well. I think it's important that the public are aware of what's happened to you.
Yeah.
Especially if you go to jail.
And in my opinion, the state is manoeuvring to create a legal precedent.
For everyone. That's
for everyone. And I think they've done the same thing with you outside the courtroom. So now, if anyone who isn't a certified press goes near a courtroom with a phone,
do you know the recording I've got?
They're the same position that you was in.
I've got the recording yesterday from Wayne. I spoke to the Met liaison officer. He said, "Have you got a certification that you're a journalist?" This isn't like being a solicitor, mate. Like solicitors, yes, you have to be legally qualified to be a solicitor. There's no doubt I'm a journalist. I report the news. Just Google the word journalist of what they do. They report the news to the public. They only want certified. When they say certified, people working for the state, people working for the mass media, for the establishment. And I think my case, you're right, was about scaring people into
and creating a precedent
against citizen journalism.
Because if that happens to you again or someone else again. Case law, previous decisions by judges, they count for a lot.
I know.
When it comes in before a court again. Judges generally follow previous judgments.
Will you?
So when someone else is done for what you did, which was bugger all really, I've done that before, but when someone else has done that, they will reference the prosecution. Tommy Robinson was prosecuted for this and he went to prison.
For not saying
anything. Judge will just duplicate that for some other poor bugger.
Will you, if you're convicted tomorrow, if you're convicted, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Will you appeal this?
It all depends on the circumstances. Because the thing is, I might be out because this is a magistrate's court at the end of the day. The maximum I can get is 3 months. I'll do half inside, which is 6 weeks. Maybe 2 months because this new legislation they've brought
terrorist. You'll be a terrorist.
Yeah.
You'll have to do 2/3.
I'll have to do 2/3. So I might end up doing 2 months of a 3-month sentence. So that's the situation.
Because you're a terrorist for not giving them your code.
Not giving them my PIN codes.
Yeah.
But they've already confirmed in the evidence. You'll see it tomorrow. There's no suspicion of terrorism or criminality at all.
Have you had any civil rights groups, or say, for example, if you're a Muslim terrorist, Muslim jihadi, you land at the airport back from a war zone, you will have all of these people flying to help you, like Cage, like all these politicians, all these groups who want to defend civil liberties. Has anyone contacted you to support you?
No, absolutely not.
Not a single person?
No. You're the only person, really.
But no one's tried to say, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
We know he's... So people might not like it. People talk about me or you, they might say, I think he's an idiot. Yeah. Okay, maybe I am. Maybe sometimes we are idiots,
Yeah.
But you're not a terrorist. So
No,
should
that's the
we
whole
be
point, yeah.
should we be targeted with terrorist legislation
When you was dragged into the Old Bailey, that wasn't about you. They were trying to create a precedent for everyone.
to scare people?
This time they're trying to create precedent for everyone by hauling me over the coals. So this time I'm the sacrificial lamb. Last year it was you. The year before that,
Right.
I was sent down for religiously aggravated because I
you asked questions, I remember it.
Yeah, I exposed some migrant gang rapists who raped an underage English girl. Because I exposed them, I was sent to prison. And then a few years before that, you was in prison. So it's just they're constantly putting all the building blocks for a police state in place. Because if I'm done for this, if you go through an airport and they grab you and you refuse,
And to people watching
then what
this,
you'll do is you'll find yourself in court.
Yeah.
And they'll say, right, Judge, there's case law that backs up the prosecution. Paul Golding was done for this.
He doesn't- and it didn't matter,
And he was
was it?
convicted and he was sent to prison. So we feel the same should happen to Tom Robinson. And then you'll be banged up.
And they have to. And then the thing is, so say if you're one of our supporters, and each year, it's when you're talking about leaving the country, they have the event for the independence of Poland.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people now go out there. It's a massive patriotic rally.
Yeah.
Everyone's left open to this.
Yeah.
You land from Poland.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Who are you with? Give us your passcode.
Yeah.
My concern is if they get your passcodes and they find a beheading video, they run the headline that you've got terrorist
Terrorist
videos.
material on your
terrorist
phone.
material.
Yeah.
That's all the headline will be.
Exactly.
Terrorist
Yeah.
material. They won't say it's a jihadi ISIS fighter beheading an innocent person.
Yeah.
It will just be the headline.
My
That's my worry.
advice to people like you and anyone else who's involved in any political activism on the patriot side of the fence is if I'm convicted tomorrow and you travel out of the country, leave your normal phone at home and just take a cheap phone that you can put your SIM into. Just take a cheap phone
Which is
with
a
nothing on
crazy
it.
situation to be in, yeah? Why should we have to... Why? If you just go on a holiday, you should feel free to fly.
But
I
then if
I
they-
get scared every time I go to the airport. I don't know. Every time I land, I've been nicked 3 times in the airport. So every time I land, when I've got it with my kids, my wife, my kids, all the suitcases, 5 suitcases, midnight, boom, please.
Yeah.
I just think every time I come through, I go, oh, that. But after your case tomorrow,
Yeah.
I won't
Everyone, if I get convicted tomorrow, every patriot in the country is at risk when
Yeah.
they go into an airport. Leave your normal phone at home if I'm convicted and just get a cheap phone that you can put your SIM card in. Because then if they do pull you, you can give them access to it without any worry or any concern. It's not because we're hiding things. It's because why should complete strangers be looking through pictures of you and your wife or you and your kids?
No.
It's an invasion of privacy.
what will be leaked and how would they manipulate things? That's for me. But all right, well, you're in court in the morning, and hopefully you'll be on VK tomorrow night.
Hopefully.
Or
Or in Belmarsh.
Yeah. Oh, good luck.
All right, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.